Okay, thought I'd just put a bit of detail together about how I've been making my wings. Here in New Zealand, polystyrene is very easy to get hold of. Unfortunately, it's quite easy to cut with a hot wire, but it's not very strong. So I've been using polystyrene for my wings, but I've been reinforcing them. I'm simply using a profile. These profiles are cut from Formica, the same Formica that's used to cover bench tops. It's quite easy to cut and shape. I've got holes drilled in it, as you can see, and it's pinned to the side of the polystyrene like that, and that's the profile I use to run my hot wire around. Because the polystyrene is very poor in this dimension, I've been cutting into my wing profiles a notch. Once the wing profile is cut, I then cut a notch into the profile like that, and the notch goes 80% of the way through the polystyrene, and you end up with a slot that runs longitudinally down the wing. I'll just take my finger out of the way, and into that slot I'm gluing balsa wood, good old balsa wood. This is 3mm balsa wood, and I cut a long section of it, and it drops into the slot, and I glue it into the slot with Gorilla Glue. This stuff's really good. With the addition of a little bit of moisture onto the balsa, it actually foams up quite nicely and acts as a very good gap filler. Once the shape is created and the balsa wood spar set in and all glued up, you then end up with a wing panel like that. So as you can see, it's a nice shape with a spar, and the spar goes most of the way through. I'm putting the spar in from the top side of the wing, and I'm extending the spar out the ends like that, so the two wing tips are built that way. The centre section is also a profile cut, so there's your profile. It's cut with a spar slot in it, but the difference is that the spar slot is set 3mm further back than the wingtip spar, so that when the two are joined together, one spar goes in front of the other like that, and then the wing is glued together again with Gorilla Glue and with a little bit of dihedral. So if I pull this apart and show you the other one I've already done, here we have it. That's the dihedral. So you've got the dihedral angle here, and as you can see, we've got a slight overlap of the two balsa spars, and again, because of the Gorilla Glue, you can see from the line up here that the Gorilla Glue nicely fills all the gaps. Now I've found with Gorilla Glue that if you let it go off hard, it's very difficult to sand, and you end up sanding away the white polystyrene, and you have very little effect on the Gorilla Glue. But if you can get to it before it gets hard, you can carve it quite easily with a craft knife, and then you can just sand it lightly, and you can actually sand this a lot easier when it's just slightly soft, and that's what you end up with. Now these wings, I'm coating them with wet newspaper, and it's held in place with watered down PVA. So wet newspaper and watered down PVA shrinks up and it pulls the hole up nice and tight. And then I'm using Mod Podge, which is available in New Zealand at the warehouse, to put a waterproof skin on the outside. I'm also experimenting with mixing Mod Podge with ordinary poster paint, water-based poster paint, which is also sold at the warehouse, and it seems to be quite successful, where you end up with something that's put on very much like painting on watered down PVA, but when it goes off, and it seems to be fairly waterproof. I'm putting an extra coat of Mod Podge over the top to improve the waterproof nature of the beast. The only other thing I'm doing to my wings is I'm putting along the leading edge the fiberglass reinforced packing tape, just to improve the impact resistance of this leading edge. Anyway, that's just a little bit of detail about how I've been building my wings. Catch you later.